And so, well, we're moving swiftly on. And Mike Wilkinson is my next guest. So Mike, I owe a massive debt of gratitude because whenever I talk about value, I don't turn into him. That would be impossible. There's only one Mike Wilkinson. But I use his phrase that he taught me on a trip to somewhere exotic, I think it was. Value is a mystery, Mike. Value is a mystery. I use that all the time. Can we just check that I use it correctly and I've not morphed it into something wrong? So can you explain, what do you mean by value is a mystery when you talk about that? Let me just, I think I've put you on mute, or somebody has. Let me just take you off there. Just make sure we can hear you. So value is a mystery, sir.
Yes, it is.
Your catchphrase.
In fact, it was going to remain a mystery then while I was on mute, wasn't it? It's, I suppose, where did it come from? The easiest way is to explain where it came from. And I don't know whether you guys have, I used to talk a lot at pricing conferences, in fact, still do, and do a lot of training. And this word value comes up all the time. And I was in a conference in Copenhagen years ago, and the night before the session, I was talking to some of the guys, and every single one of them told me they sold value. And I thought, this is extraordinary. They've all been programmed. So the following day, instead of doing what I was going to do, I said, look, guys, I was staggered at how many of you told me that you sold value. So what I'd like you to do is to tell me what you think value is. So what I want you to do is to come up with an Oxford Dictionary definition of value, beginning with the words value is. And there were about 120 guys in this room and about 10 tables. And instantly, I began to realize it was a hell of a sight more difficult than I thought it was going to be. There was an awful lot of head scratching. And it took them about 20 minutes to come up with it. And I decided I was going to read each of these cards. I get them each to write a card with their definition on. I was going to read the definitions back. We'd pull all of them together and we come up with what we thought was the best definition of value. And so I got these cards back, and sure enough, every definition was different, not massively different. Clearly, there were some similarities, but I got halfway through this pack and I came up with this card and it had 4 words written on it. This is 20 minutes of work, 4 words, and 2 of them were the words I'd given them, which was value is. And I turned this card over and I thought, this is bloody ridiculous. I can't possibly read this out. It's absolute nonsense. And of course, the words were value is a mystery. And I thought, you know, I sort of sat back and I thought about it. And the more I thought about it, the more I began to realize the truth of that. Because we spend a lot of time assuming things about our customers. We spend a lot of time assuming we know what they think value is. But the reality is we don't, because we all define value differently. If you think about anything that we buy, anything we look at, we see value in a different way. So as sellers particularly, our job is to solve the value mystery. That's the key task that we have to have. And of course, when I discovered that you have to solve the value mystery, I thought, that's it, cracked it, bloody brilliant. And but of course, and I did a post today, funnily enough, about this, is, you know, I think people are very good at telling other people what to do, but they're pretty awful at showing people how to do it. And I thought, well, actually, knowing that I've got to solve the value mystery is fine, but how the hell do I do that? And what is value? And I thought what we need is a framework. We need some sort of constituent elements around which we can hang value. And for that, my partner at the time, Harry McDivitt, and I, we disappeared off into a darkened room for some time. And we developed this concept called the Value Triad. And I was looking at the Value Triad on Google yesterday, and I am amazed at how many people have nicked it. It's everywhere, and it's so simple. And when we talk about value, we look at it as a triangle, and we look at 3 elements of value. The first element we called revenue gain or performance gain. If you're in a hospital or something, patient outcome is more important, but revenue gain. And the question is, how does our product or service help our customer improve their revenue? And it's amazing how difficult sometimes people find that to think about. And I say to people, well, let's start by thinking about what's revenue. It's volume times price. Well, that gives you a pretty reasonable starting point. So that's revenue gain. The next bit was the one I think we probably all recognize, which is cost reduction, which is how can what we do in terms of our product and service help our customers to reduce their costs? Now, those two things, revenue gain and cost reduction, are tangible, they're measurable, they're objective. You can monetize them, and you should. It is really, really important to put numbers on these things, because anybody can wander into a customer and say, I can help you make more money, I can help you save more money. But customers want to know how much and by when. That's what's really interesting to them. So we need to monetize it. The third element took us a lot longer to discover, really. And we played around with this, and we finally came up and we decided we would call it emotional contribution. And this is the intangible, subjective component of value. And it is so important. It is about relationships. It's about trust. It's about your reputation. It's about the value of your brand. It's about the reduction of risk. It's all of those things which are much, much more difficult to monetize, but are hugely important nevertheless, and have a value in their own right. So those were the two really key elements: defining that value is a mystery and that our job is to solve the value mystery, and then providing people with a tool to think about and conceptualize value, if you like. So when I look at value, there are two things. One is understanding it as a concept, and that is that. The other is then having conversations with our customers to understand what value actually means to them. And I pick up exactly on what Claire was saying earlier on. This is hugely important, because there are so many people involved in the sale now that to assume once you've spoken to one person, you now know it, it's simply not true.
Yeah, all right. Again, so elegantly put. This is why I quote you a lot.
Well, and I'm happy to say, I was going to say I'm happy. My wife was steaming last night because we were looking at exactly that, the value triad and the value as a mystery. And I'm amazed at how many people have plagiarized it.
I always put your name, sir.
I know. I'm not suggesting for a minute, Fred, that you had plagiarized it.
I just say, Mike did this. It's really good. Why do I want to reinvent something?
You're very kind.
A lot of time and effort in, and get you on here as well.
Yeah.
Oh no, Mike. Again, you know, I've got an eye on the clock. I just want to talk to everyone so much about this stuff and go deeper. And I think that's the whole point about hybrid selling. We've got this framework, we've got these elements, and you can take all of them so much deeper. And again, if people are reading the book and going, right, I want to find the expert in this and go down that route, that's what it's all about. You know?